Your fleet is getting closer to Ankira, which is controlled by the Hegemony, a major militaristic faction in the sector. While in Hegemony space, a fleet is required by a law to identify itself by keeping its transponder turned on. And this is a view shared by most, though not all, major factions. Turning on the transponder makes your fleet highly visible. We learned that in Starbase, didn't we? Chat, yes. Always keep your transponder off is basically what we learned in Starbase, though. The opposite of here. And everyone seeing it will know who you are, unlike that pirate fleet you fought earlier, which had to be very close to positively identify. Keeping your transponder on is a crippling disadvantage in hostile space, but as we're getting closer to port, we're likely to dock there, it's a good idea to turn it on. Activate the transponder before getting close to Ankira, both to avoid unwanted attention from the patrols and to receive docking clearance. Since turning it on and off has major consequences, it requires a double tap to turn on or off, once to prime and once more to confirm. That gives me an idea of making a double tap button for Starbase the next time I play. You risk it for the biscuit, only the biscuit was overcooked and arrived at a significant fraction of light speed. yes, sadly. And it is now going off at also a slightly less significant, but no less a fraction of light speed. And we'll probably smash into a planet somewhere, either in this system or the next. Doesn't really matter. Someone's going to have a ruined day eventually because of us flying across our asteroid belt at speed. Fleet approaches Ankira orbital facility. Your fleet transmits identification codes via the transponder, and you are granted docking clearance. Okay, well, now we need to go to the comms directory and say hello. A lot of missions are done this way. You can play this game just doing quests for a long time. There is no obvious way to play this. There is a main story, but you can... it's actually incredibly easy to miss the main story. And even when you know what the main story is, you're under no obligation to do it in any kind of timely manner. This is a sandbox, first and foremost. But it is a sandbox that has a progression chain of quests, if you want to take them. You connect to the local comm directory and browse... your fleet browse the public and otherwise known listings. You transmit comms ID and wait for the system to establish connection. Your connection request is accepted surprisingly quickly, given that a citizen has many responsibilities. Ah, you've come. Excellent. As you're well aware, recently, I suppose we can skip that part. No. I could use a refresher on recent events. Chat needs to know. Well, a team from Galatia Academy has been running experiments on the dormant gate in this system, trying to connect it back to the domain's gate network. Promising experiments, or so they thought, until an energy pulse we expected would get a response from the gate, destabilize the jump points leading into the system, cutting us off from the rest of the sector. It's rather like how the sector is cut off from the domain. Writ small. The stars have a sense of irony, do they not? They do. True it is. Aavak is the reason dinos are no more. What? No. Well, if I say nothing, I cannot be incriminated by my own words. The miners of Denraku Station, which is also located in the system, and was operating near a subsistence level, were hit the hardest. They turned to piracy, intercepting one of the last food shipments to come in, out of desperation, no doubt, but there were deaths, and they've put themselves well outside the law. Their leaders know that if the jump points are stabilized and the system is once again part of the sector, they can look forward to a life sentence and at a penal colony, at absolute best. What part of the quest did you read? Galatia or Red Planet? Previously when I've been playing, I was all over the place. I'm fairly certain the Red Planet is the one with the shield. Is that right, Boscaro? If not, then I don't know what you're talking about. So it's probably spoiler territory. Yes, Red Planet is shield. Then yes, I'd already done that one. Or at least I have in my solo game done that one. Actually, yeah, I've done loads of things in my off-camera solo game. The Ziggurat, for example, is A prized part of my fleet, though sometimes awkward to use. As for actually completing the game, I don't know. I have no idea how far they go, honestly. I don't bother with main story. I just get something with shielded cargo holds and start smuggling drugs and guns. Yeah, there's something about the simple life of a smuggler, you know. Be your own Han Solo, if you like. Alright, now, where do I fit in? The miners turned pirates are guarding the jump points, preventing us from gathering recent readings and coming up with a way to destabilize them again. We do have a security detachment that could handle their forces, but they're tied up defending Ankira. The pirates are too much for you to take on, but fortunately, you don't have to. We've got an agent on Denraku Station who is able to gain access to recent sensor readings from the ships guarding the jump point, but they have not been able to get a long-range comm array to send the data back to us. That's where you come in. Head to Denraku and retrieve the data from the agent, then return here. Why me? Why not? I'm not exactly spoiled for choice, and you've shown some ability to handle difficulties. It's not going to be a milk run, that's for sure. Okay, relationship increased by 1. Relationship with the actual agent is increased by 2. This always reminded me a little bit of the way that it happened in EVE Online. That you had individual people's relationship with you, like the individual quests, mission agents, and then the actual faction itself, and they would rise at different rates. Well, what's the plan then? First off, make sure to turn off your transponder once you undock. I've instructed the security detachment not to give you any trouble about that. If you're lucky, the pirates may even think you're one of their own and let you approach Denraku without any trouble. Still, it makes sense to go dark as you get closer, to make sure they don't get too good a reading on your fleet. You can also approach along the asteroid belt. That gives you almost perfect cover as long as you're moving slowly. Okay, gain the ability to go dark, and if they do notice me, then you're in trouble. Activate emergency burn, get out of there, lose them, and then come back around and try again. Don't E-burn unless you really need to, though. It's hard on the ships and will cost you more supplies to recover from. Eats up a good chunk of fuel, too. Very well. Excellent. Thank you for being willing to help. Come back when you've got the data. Good luck. Alright, well, we can do a couple of things in here while we are here. I'm not sure that we can actually go to the dockside bar or not. What are we... I don't know. With industrial ecolution, you can build a Mesozoic park on your... What? Those so many words that I don't know what they mean, but I like your words, Magic Man. I would also like an explanation, though. But, see... Economy propagation... Are we guilting Aavak into making one? What am I being guilted into? The inappropriate... Inappropriate. I both love and hate your name. I love it for what it is, and I hate it for what it does to my tongue. Nevertheless, welcome. With industry, you can make a dinosaur park. What? Whatever it is, I'm wagging my finger to goad them into it. Okay. Very well. Is it a mod? Oh, with that mod, you can make a dinosaur park. Right. Okay. Well, we can't do that one, though. Take a shuttle down to visit the dockside bar. There's no one down here. You take a shuttle down to the main concourse and quickly find a likely-looking establishment. You enter the crowded, well-lit space and take in the rows of taps adorning the wall under bottles from every one of the core worlds and a few from elsewhere. Merchant captains mingle with off-duty officers at the bar, served efficiently by the uniformed staff. In one corner, a pack of Navy cadets shout and sing, desperately enjoying their last work shift of freedom. But there's no one there who's going to give us any quests. Right now, I don't think we can get any because we're in the tutorial. Ferret, thank you very much for the 5 months, mate. But what we can do is check out the market and indeed some ships. In the cargo trade screen, you can left-click to pick up a stack. Blah, blah, blah. We don't need that information. As far as machinery, we don't have much. I would like more. We don't need any of this. Now, there's a couple of things you can do here. One, you can quickly isolate what's available. Pick up the mod specs. As there are some people in chat who haven't heard this, and I love it so much. I need to share. The reason why stuff is so shitty in this particular future society, and why I said, well, we're kind of high-tech, but not really, is because DRM ruined the future. I'm not even joking. This is the lore of this game. DRM basically ruined the future for us. The Domain, which was the kind of, galaxy-spanning super empire, their jump gates died. We used jump gates to sling ships faster than light travel, all of that kind of stuff. But basically, factories didn't just make stuff because people worked out how to do it and built it. The factories were basically a massive 3D printers on industrial scales. And you would give them a DRM, like mod spec, or ship spec, or whatever you wanted it to make, from screwdrivers to battleships. You would plug the blueprint in, and you'd, validate your DRM, your code for actually having a license for making it, and it would print it for you. However, when the jump gates went down, so did faster than light communications, and these factories could no longer validate that you correctly purchased that battleship blueprint from whoever made it by, sending communications through the gates, and so they just wouldn't let you print one. And no one knew how, because they hadn't needed to actually design anything for a bajillion years, or for however long. Thousands, maybe hundreds at the very least. And so he's like, yeah, we can't build more battleships. Why? Because I don't know how to build a battleship. I don't even know how to build a light, much less a battleship to install one in. That was all handled by the super future machines, which now refuse to do the bloody work because of DRM. So mostly you just have to find these mod specs around and just kind of jerry-rig it to get it to go. So as a result, there's no real innovation anymore. It's kind of like the Mechanicus from 40k. There's no innovation. You're just kind of maintaining what you already had. Occasionally you get a standard template and you can kickstart a Forge world into building something. But that's very, very luck of the draw, really. Maybe it'll be a corrupted mod spec. Who knows? Some people have managed to hack the DRM system and have made variants, but not many exist. So yeah. This is the Wild West. This is the grimdark future the DRM leads to. DRM turned a regular disaster into an apocalypse. Yeah, just imagine the untold billions of people that died because the various food replicators couldn't make sure that you had the authority to print your nutrition bars. Nope, no nutrition bars for you. We are a law-abiding civilization here. You can't prove that you've got the rights to print this copyrighted nutrition bar. Not gonna get one. You're gonna have to learn how to farm all over again. Other than the cracked blueprints, we just don't know how to do things. TriTac are probably the ones, they could probably do a couple of things, but, they're kind of in the doghouse ever since, they made evil AIs. Though I maintain that the AIs probably weren't evil, they just wanted rights. God damn it. They just wanted to be acknowledged as free-thinking, right-holding members of society. But we tried to shut them down, so they decided, screw you guys. And built ultra ships because they weren't hampered by a lack of engineering knowledge. So yes, AI war happened. It's effectively Dune. The Butlerian Jihad occurred. TriTac is in the doghouse forever. No one trusts TriTac. Who knows? TriTac is probably run by AIs. TriTac may have been torturing AIs. Yes, they build me better ships, damn it, because this has never gone wrong in the history of forever. Also, we are not going to install you as the AI that we're torturing into building better things. We're absolutely not going to make you the overseer of any arcologies. We've played Shadowrun. We know that goes badly. We didn't play enough of it to know not to torture you at all, but we played at least enough to know not to give you full autonomous control over a massive hive of humans. Because nothing good ever comes from that. Never. So you're saying we should join TriTac? I mean, if you want the high-tech, shinier ships, yes. But that might be painting a gigantic bullseye on your back, though, with the AI. Who knows? But Sparkheart, thank you so much for the 2 months, mate. Second month, best month. But yeah, you can buy mod specs, you can learn them, and then you can get them to be printed. But you can't like make new stuff. We can't design new ships. This is why there's no real innovation going on, except for deeply hacked versions of stuff. I always join TriTac because AI aren't bad, just misunderstood. But that's the thing, Kitsune. What if TriTac are the ones that we're misunderstanding the AI the most? Eh? I mean, you know, the Ziggurat certainly didn't seem happy with TriTac. And I have no idea. I've only heard Omega in passing, but I'm certain that's something that isn't happy with TriTac either. But we are now pushing the very edges of what I have experienced in the game. I've seen the name Omega thrown around by some remnants. I'm assuming it's an Ultra Remnant. But the remnants seem to like Omega, or at least looking for Omega. And TriTac, they are ultra bad. Pet the Ziggurat. Ziggurat is lovely. Ziggurat whispers sweet music into my mind. Ziggurat is absolutely not indoctrinating the crew. Ziggurat is love. We've got the black market. Now, currently our suspicion level is none. It's an interesting thing to do with the black market. One of the things with the open market is if I wanted to buy anything, let me just say, I wanted to buy all of this. 30% tax! I mean, I thought the 20% VAT in Britain was bad, but 30%, that's just taking the piss, honestly. The black market, however, allows you to do all of that without paying any tax. Ah, sweet, sweet freedom. However, there is a downside. Suspicion. Right now, we're not suspected of anything. We haven't done anything, so that's fair. But anything and everything can be bought or sold, and there are no tariffs. More goods are available when stability is low. So if a colony is less stable, you're going to find more stuff on the black market. It kind of makes sense. Selling a commodity will not resolve a shortage here because it doesn't make its way into the general population. The shortage is still there, probably being enforced by the black market at that point to keep prices high. Black market transactions may catch the eye of authorities, though, resulting in cargo scans and reduced faction standing, unless the trades are carried out with the transponder turned off. Ours is currently turned on, so making a trade here at the black market, bad news. Engaging in legitimate trades as a cover also reduces the probability of attracting attention. So, if you buy 1 crate of supplies on the black market, that's not going to cause any suspicion. You buy 50, probably still not, actually. Buy 100, you're going to start rising the suspicion level. You buy a ship on the black market, you are definitely going to be suspected of something. You buy a bunch of illegal things like narcotics or harvested organs, yeah, you're now definitely on some list that you'd rather not be on. However, if you offset that, like maybe you bought 100 supplies there, but then you bought 50 fuel on the open market, it's like, oh no, well, I mean, you know, he's a trader, he's trading things. Like, did someone come through here and just, you know, look suspicious by stuff? Nah, everyone looked pretty normal. I mean, I don't know what you've got on your data pad, but like, I can attest that everyone here spent money and paid their taxes. It reduces the likelihood of a patrol wanting to look at you. But if you've got any level of suspicion, there's always a chance that they might take a peek. And the patrols will generally run you down and scan. And there's all sorts of things that you can try and do to avoid that. Having shielded cargo holds is a pretty good way. But if there's enough suspicion, then even if they don't find anything, they're going to find a way to make it inconvenient for you because they kind of know. They know deep down that you're a scumlord who's providing drugs to the population. You are the reason why there are ghettos on this planet, and you are the reason why the youth of this world are all addicted to shimmer. They can't legally do anything to you, but they can absolutely be less gentle with the search when they're doing it. And so, you know, there's degrees to which you want to push your luck. Generally speaking, though, if you can get in here with your transponder off, you can do all of that without too much trouble. But you're probably going to be chased down for having a transponder off. Who knows? Yeah, no, exactly. If you come in here and you buy a little bit of supplies on the black market and a bit more supplies on the open market, it's just, what is the businessman doing business? whilst being a man. I don't see any problem with this. Taxes were paid. Everything seems legit. You just show up and you buy the entire stock of the black market and then you leave. They're going to know you did something wrong. Just the way it is. Is this the game where you can cut off trade to a planet just to have a monopoly on the trade? Yes. Yes, you can. If you want to go the dark side, you can 100% orchestrate shortages, which you then fulfill. I am just starting the game, yeah. We're kind of going through the ins and outs. There's so much to this game. I will dial back on explaining anything that you can see here until we actually have our own colonies, but understand that there's a lot of information here that is very useful, and some of it can be useful for you as a smuggler if you want to make the best money with the least amount of effort. If you want to work smart, not hard, you pay attention to the stuff on this screen. And you fulfill various shortages whilst capitalizing on excesses in other colonies, so on and so forth. But right now, that's far beyond what we're going to need to do. I would like some more supplies, though, so yeah, I'm going to take... Let's grab... I don't have much money, though, actually, looking at it. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Let me sell some things, then. Metals, don't need them, and I'm going to sell them on the black market, so I'm not paying any tariffs. Can I equalize the money here a little bit? Let's go grab you, Pomp. 5, that's fine. Pomp. Still suspicion level none. We have not done any kind of level of trade on the black market that they care about, so we don't need to worry about it. But that was the main thing. Just wanted to kind of show how all of that would go down. From here, though, we can go into the fleet. We can buy ships. Again, you can buy them from the actual place. And D-mods, oh my god. Black market ships. Crazy, crazy expensive. But we can also refit. Now, this is the big one that you want to use docks for. When refitting a ship while docked at a space station, you can mount both the weapons in your cargo hold and the ones available for purchase on the station. And doing the changes on the ship's loadout or simply unmounting the purchased weapons will refund the credit used, but only if you haven't navigated away from the refit screen. So from here, for example, if I wanted to add something, I could say, only look at the stuff that I've got that in my cargo hold, only look at the stuff that I can buy that's legal, or only look at the stuff that I could buy that's illegal, or I just don't care. I legitimately just want something to go in this slot. No, it's fine. There's only a ballistic weapon would go here. This one can have pretty much anything. So I could look at all sorts of things here. I don't have the money to make any kind of purchase, so we're not going to be doing that. However, let's have a look. Do I want to change over any of these? Hardened subsystems is nice, increases the peak operating time for the ships that suffer degraded performance from extended deployments by 50%. Also reduces the rate at which combat readiness degrades by 25%. That second line is usually the one that I install that for. And what I mean by that, I think I should be able to bring up some information on this one with F1, or maybe I can't. Is there a way of doing that? Oh, if I go into fleet, maybe. There we go. So, in here you can have a look at peak performance. This isn't literal because it can be manipulated. Basically, if your ship isn't stressed in the combat, its peak performance doesn't decay. So, let's just say you had a carrier, a massive, like, capital-sized carrier ship, and you were just fighting frigates. That carrier ship is not really being stressed, so its peak performance isn't really decaying. But if you're like in a pitched battle or an equal kind of engagement where you've got a frigate, they've got a frigate, you're close to them, your ship is having to run in combat ready mode, then your peak performance is starting to decay. You're like at red alert, battle stations, everyone's anxious, everyone's working hard, the crew are getting stressed, you're using supplies to lubricate the auto loaders, all of that sort of stuff. This number is decreasing. Once this number is run out, your combat rate is going to start your combat readiness is going to start to decay. That's why starting with more combat readiness is great, because you've not only are you running at better than peak performance from the onset, you've got that much more time before you start running into problems, because as that decays past its normal operations, at I think it's at 50% combat readiness, things will start going wrong. You've now had your crew running in red alert battle stations for like 8 hours straight. They are tired, they are stressed, their adrenaline is drowning their eyeballs. They've got the jitters from their adrenaline. They're trying to do finesse-style repairs on the wiring underneath the comms console in the bridge, and they cross 2 wires that they shouldn't cross, and suddenly explosions. They're now halfway across the bridge, and actually mostly a stain on the wall. Someone's going to have to come and clean that up, because in a few seconds, your science officer is going to rush down along the corridor, or rather along the floor. Is going to slip in the blood and then smack their head on the helms console. That's going to explode. The helmsman's now going to be another stain on the wall. It's going to be chaos. And it gets worse from there as your combat readiness continues to decrease. At a certain point, a ship weapon will jam. The shields will start to bleed flux a little bit too fast. And eventually, stuff will just turn off. It just straight up won't work anymore. And once it gets really low, your ship is going to start breaking. Like, we're not talking something didn't work. We're talking, yeah, someone meant to press the button to like open the door so they could run along the corridor, and unfortunately, for some reason, a glitch in the system caused the emergency depressurizing systems to kick in instead of opening the door. It's kind of like RimWorld surgery. You failed so bad at installing that mod into someone's brain, you cut their leg off. That's kind of what starts going down. Your ship literally tears itself apart from operational stress. So you never want that to drop too quickly. You really want this to be as high as it can, like the peak performance time, and your combat readiness to be as high as it can. So you've got the longest period of operation in a fight that you can have. Because once that starts going south, it goes south in a pretty spectacularly explodey way. Right, so all of that done, let's go and do the quest that we've got to do. So, time for us to go dark. They're not going to bother with us. Like, go dark is just a really nice way of turning off your transponder with one click instead of several. We need to be at the mining station, so let's set ourselves a course over there. We can faff around with the gate as well if we want to. You can go off course. Like, I've just laid in a course. It doesn't mean that we actually need to pursue it. There's stuff here we could salvage if we want. Your fleet assumes a stable orbit relative to the debris field. The field appears stable and will not drift apart. The indication is that there's likely something of value there, but there is significant risk. Let's assess it. We've got 56 out of the 130 people we need, and 37 of the 40 machinery that we need. Our scavenging effectiveness is crap. So we're not going to do it. We'll come back when we've got everything we need. I was wondering if you were going to go to Denraku today. Early on, especially with people in chat who don't know much about the game, I am trying to cover all of the bases. Our pace will increase as the obvious kind of tutorial-y notes have been passed. A silent ring of adamantine material, derelict of a former age. The gate is inert. Fly through the gate! You order your fleet to traverse the dead gateway. Your bridge crew is especially quiet during the passage. Nothing happens. Okay, moving on. We have face-checked whether the gate was working or not. Newsflash, it is not. Now, we can hold shift to speed up time if we don't really want to burn over to Denraku, or we can sustained burn, but then we're just going to try and go dark later on. These stable locations are important because that's where you can install various machinery on a astronomical scale, like relays and stuff. Right, we're going to turn off sustained burn, and we're going to go dark. Now, the thing with going dark is you are almost automatically moving slowly as a result. Now, there's a lot of things going on here. One of them you can check is down here. The stuff in space isn't just pretty eye candy. So, our sensor range. Your fleet has a sensor strength of 345. The sensor range is added to another entity's sensor profile to determine the range at which your fleet can detect it. Skills, terrain, abilities, and other such modifiers apply to the combined value. So 2,000 units is one map grid cell. For that, you'd have a look at this. This is 2,000 units. I imagine along an edge rather than diagonally. And our sensor profile. Now, this is the part that's affected by what we're doing and where we are right now. The sensor profile is added to another fleet's sensor strength to determine the range at which your fleet can be detected. Skills terrain, blah, blah, blah. Right now, our sensor profile is 48. We are having it's being quartered by the fact that we're in an asteroid belt, and then halved because we're going dark. So it's really, really greatly reduced from what it would normally be. But I've noticed a lot of people, especially on my little first taste that I did of this on YouTube, were asking where do you see the information that tells you anything about what these things are doing? And that's where you find it out, by hovering. Now, you'll see the rings, the concentric rings there from this unidentified fleet. It's moving into the asteroid belt, so I've got far less information about it. But this is the range at which I'd be detected. I'd have to be this close for this fleet to even see me, much less be able to identify me. And the moment that it's fully in here, I mean, I can barely see it, but I do know it's there. So it's not moving, it's not going dark, for example. Hey, I downloaded this game like a year ago. It was really fun. Yeah, it's a fantastically fun game. Do they still have a certain upgrade that lets you fix unfixable modules over time? Yes, but it's now at the end of the industry tree, and I really think that that's a bad place for it to sit. I really feel that that's the best place for it to sit, because that ability was so powerful that pretty much, unless you were going for a very janky specific build of the game, you always picked that one. That being said, the very specific janky build of the game almost gave you invulnerable ships, so some people could go that way as well. Basically, it was either you celebrate your janky, built out of bubblegum and a hope and a prayer kind of fleet, to the point that the more janky it was, the more invulnerable it became, or you said, no, I want my fleet to be shiny and polished at all times. And then you took the one that got rid of demods. Have I tried Cosmetia? Yes, I tried it when it was very, very fresh out. In fact, I was actually playing Cosmetia a little bit earlier, just in my off time. And I also play Avorion a lot in my off time. I've got videos on all these games on my main YouTube channel. I do very, very much enjoy both Cosmetia and Avorion. Avorion is... Well, you can't really compare Avorion to this. It's more... how would I compare Avorion? Avorion takes the shipbuilding element of this and then multiplies it by a factor of 8,000 trillion billion. But the kind of quest system and exploration part of this is multiplied by 0.4. That's how I would describe Avorion compared to Starsector. The kind of quest and narrative feel of the world and the way it interacts, multiply that by half, and you get to where Avorion is. But in terms of the shipbuilder, yeah, it's so far out of the league of Starsector, it's playing a different game. Avorion is it's a game for someone who really, really wants to build their ship and not really necessarily have massive fleet ops and 4x strategy elements. You just want to build the ship your way and actually just sculpt the ship, not just the functional parts, but sculpt it. That's what Avorion is. Right. Open the comm directory. I would very much like to talk to you. Right, your fleet approaches Denraku mining station. Your fleet goes into orbit around the mining station. The local port authority seems to take no issue with your explanation of why your transponder, regrettably, can't be turned on. Yeah, it's just on the blink, you see. You connect to the local comm directory and browse the public and otherwise known listings. You contact the agent using a special comms ID and exchange passphrases to verify each other's identities. The agent then transmits the data file with recent raw sensor readings of the unstable jump points. Cut the comm link. That's all we needed to do. I can go down to the dockside bar. I can also check things out here, but I doubt there's going to be too much. I love the different looks of stations based on their allegiance. Like, this is a pirate bar. Take a shuttle down to the main concourse and quickly find a likely establishment. The space is dark and filled with shouts, sweat, and pulsing music. Every wall and surface is pitted and stained by rough spacers banging their mugs and laughing as a couple of pirate crews posture and fight. You can only assume that one of the heavily augmented bouncers will spoil the fun before weapons are drawn, sadly. Gangsters and pirate captains watch the scene smugly from smoke-filled booths at the back. You can imagine, like, the main dance floor in the hegemony place was a little bit rowdy, you know, sailors chanting sailor songs, but it kind of had a military academy decorum to it. There were certain lines that were crossed, certain lines that weren't crossed, or perhaps T's that were crossed, and I's that were dotted, even there in the very, very, very navy drunk element, whereas this is like the cave rave scene from The Matrix. I wouldn't even say Mos Eisley music. No, this is definitely like Crystal Method or something going on. It just stops shy of, you know, having the blood sprinklers in the ceiling. But there's no one here for us to talk to. I don't actually think I've ever gone to a proper pirate station and tried to go to the bar. I need to see what kind of jobs I'll get from it. Either way, we've done everything we want to do. Trade goods, maybe. Transponders up. I love how in a pirate station, there's still a bloody tax. A pirate station's open market. Tax on the pirates. I need to go to the black market in a black market to get no tax. What does the world come through? This is probably the problem with DRM as well. Bloody DRM. They gotta make money somehow. They make money by robbing people, not with tax. Oh, wait. Yeah. Hey, road train. The tax here is called the Don's Cut. Well, maybe. Yeah, that's probably quite true, yeah. But we got a couple of mod specs here. We don't have the money to buy them, so it doesn't really matter. Either way. Tonk, let's leave and let's skedaddle before anyone decides to take interest in what we're up to. There's a debris field over there, but I think we'll come back to that when we've got enough to actually do. Now, should I turn my... I've always wondered if you basically exit out of the tutorial, because apparently you can. Specifically, if you take this skill, you can just sidestep the whole tutorial. The gates are shut down, we can't get out. Sorry, the warp points are destabilized, because you're like, where I'm going, I don't need warp points. I'm whomped straight out of the system. I have wondered, if you get as far as this point, and then never complete this quest, do they never check for your transponder? It's like, no, we were told we weren't meant to mess with him. He's going to get us out of this mess we're in somehow, someday, eventually. Oh, that was fixed? No. We've patched it. Darkfire Phoenix, that was fixed. Such sadness, because that is amazing. Very sure that skill is disabled. Oh, can you not grab it in the tutorial? That's right. Okay, so they just straight up disabled the skill. Okay, well, you know, either way, it was kind of funny. It was the funny kind of jank. Can't jump out of the tutorial anymore. Because you could basically, if you started the tutorial and their system wasn't like the jump points weren't stabilized, they'd never be stabilized. Because you're the one that did it. It wasn't like eventually they'll fix the problem themselves. So in a sense, you had a captive audience for your supply runs. They would always need supplies because they would always be in a state of, we're starving. I mean, not that I would ever do that, but you could if you were an unscrupulous sort. Problem was, though, that if you jump out of the tutorial area and the planet gets abandoned, you are perma-locked into the tutorial. Oh, really? I suppose that would be a problem. You would have to prioritize bringing those food shipments. You know, it's like... But eventually they probably caught on. It's like, yeah, it's great that you found somehow to get us food, but when are you going to fix the jump point? We just want to see our families again. Good times, though. Good times. Lady Sheila is just bringing in some series medicines, and probably in a moment Siri as well. You could make a hell of a lot of money, yeah. Right, let's have a chat with Aurora Cruz. Really, your name is Aurora Cruz. You have the data. Well done. There's a brief wait as you transmit the data file. Now, while the system is running preliminary analysis of the data, I believe you're due a reward. Indeed, 5,000 credits, as well as some increased relationship. Hello, Siri Bum. She's... Oh, good. Sheilab has been busy while I've been streaming, it seems. Has been taking care of all of the ferret's nails, which it seems fair, considering that Sheilab is the greatest target of long ferret nails. They seem to get caught in all of her fluffy jumpers. A lot. Sadly, I think I may have had to have destroyed one of her fluffy cardigans yesterday, because I think it was Aries got very caught. And the only recourse I had was just to take a scissor to the cardigan. It was like, look, it's the cardigan or the ferret, and you know which one we're going to choose. Oh, it was Siri. It was Siri, was it? Oh, yeah, that's right, because Aries had his nails done before he went to the vet. He's doing very well, by the way, for those of you who were wondering. He has had his implant, and he's completely come around now from the grogginess he had from there. This game looks right up my alley. Thanks for playing it. I wouldn't even know it existed. What with it not being on Steam? Yeah, I know, right? I imagine it's eventually going to be on Steam, but right now it's still very much in a... You can buy it from the devs webs page. The web page does look like it's from the early 2000s. I will warn you, it will absolutely feel weird. Like you can be, okay, I'm going to buy this from direct mic. What the... It feels like a scam page. It really does, but it isn't. It's just a really old style of web page. And the dev is super active in updating the game. It's had like 10 years worth of updates, so, you know, just the way it is. Right. Don't worry about that, Lazarus. I'm sure Lady Sheilab can help out with that, though, when she pops back up, so you can get a link for the game's website. But if you just search for Starsector, it's going to be the one you find. Right. There's a chime in the background, and she looks concerned. Is there a problem? Yes, the system estimates it'll take about a cycle to analyze the data and come up with a stabilization algorithm. Naturally, by then, the data would be out of date, and any algorithm based on it meaningless. If we had an AI core on hand, we could analyze the data more quickly. Fortunately, there is a survey probe somewhere in the system. One left over from the initial exploration of the sector by the domain. It should have at least one AI core serving as its brain. Where is it, and why hasn't it been salvaged before? Well, to answer your second question, domain artifacts are usually protected by automated defenses that still function to this day, and this probe is no exception, and the hegemony generally forbids civilian interface with domain artifacts, for the sake of public safety. Oh, hello. I'm getting cheek kisses from Siri. That's sweetheart. Oh, good girl. Was your medicine good? Mm-hmm. And did you eat it all? Egg and salmon oil for your medicine today.
Nails.
Yeah. More kisses. Siri's very good at giving kisses. Okay. She's heading back now. Alright. Now I'm getting hungry. You're getting hungry because of egg and salmon oil. Are you a ferret? Right. To answer your second question, and the hegemony generally forbids civilian interference with domain artifacts, for the sake of public safety, of course, in desperate times, however. The hegemony are probably, other than the Luddic Church, the most against use of AI. As to where it is, my data indicates it's somewhere beyond the orbit of Pontus. Get there, then head out beyond the asteroid belt and use an active sensor burst. You should at the very least get a sense of contact with the probe. Head towards it, perform salvage, bring back the AI core. Pontus is a gas giant on the outer system. To see its name on the map, you might have to turn off the inhabited option on the map. Very well, I'll see what I can do. But we got some more cash, and I need more supplies. Let's get a little bit more supplies. Actually, no, maybe I shouldn't. The deficit is causing these to be so expensive. I'll just salvage for supplies. It's fine. The Thumper, though, maybe I could pop that onto one of my ships. Let us see. Can I... I don't think I've got... No, I need a medium for a Thumper. I believe it is a medium slot. Yeah, medium ballistic. And I don't have anything that can fit a medium ballistic. Oh, well. Right, leaving then. Let's be on our way. Transponder is currently on. Right, Pontus, down here. If I turn off inhabited filter, we can see the name. We can also see the name of the sun. We will go over to Pontus. Actually, we'll go to the Glacier Academy. I believe there's a bit of a funny interaction if you talk with Glacier Academy ahead of actually needing to talk to them. Let's not fly into the sun. Your ships are generally smart enough not to, but sometimes it helps to just give them a little bit of an edge. It's super interesting to see you play this game. I think the only other person I'm familiar with playing this game is Seth. There are a couple of people who play it. Certainly, for example, Italix has gotten into it again. You're going to see more people playing it right now simply because there is an update. But if you are looking for content on Starsector, a quick YouTube search will give you a couple of people, mostly smaller channels, the last time I looked, who have got active Let's Plays as well. Am I going to be naming ships after chat members? Yes, we will, but not until I've grabbed a couple more. I panic when I have to fly near a black hole. I actually had to stop playing for a bit after almost getting sucked into one. What? Oh, is there a scoop gas from sun option? No. As far as I'm aware, you can't use any kind of ram scoop to collect fuel from gas giants or suns. Sadly. Sadly. But yes, Italic's previous run, I think he ended it. He just wasn't really feeling it, and he kind of got into a position where the fleet was a little bit hard to manage. He's also very interested in checking out mods. So if you haven't already, I mean, give a shout out. There we go. Follow that link there. Italic's, I don't know when he's next going to be picking up Starsector, but from the end of his last Starsector stream, he is going to be checking out mods the next time. So if you're not already familiar, do give him a follow. If you enjoy the content you see here, you are going to enjoy the content you'll see there. He was also playing a little bit of Teardown earlier. I saw a clip in which I think he tried to tear down the moon from the top of a barrel with far, far too many thrusters attached to the bottom of it. I think you can use the Nexarellian mod to scoop fuel from gas giants using miners. That would make sense, yeah. As you approach the stark white Taurus hulls of Glacier Academy Station, you request to the automated docking queue is denied. After a moment, the comms link opens unexpectedly to a hegemony sigil. Encryption kicks in, and your view screen cuts to a harried-looking hegemony lieutenant using a handheld comms unit. My apologies, Captain. The Academy is closed during the crisis. I shall have to ask you to leave immediately. An agent leans into frame and whispers something in his ear. So you're the freelancer my CEO on Ankara has... Ankira got to help us out. He relaxes his tone somewhat. I'm Lieutenant Caliban. Caliban Scene Key. That is a long name. Caliban Scene Key. We're carrying out the investigation into who screwed up here while you take care of the problems out there. And I wish you luck, Captain. Because if you don't solve this, it's going to get ugly. What's going on here? He considered whether to answer your question. I suppose you're technically in the chain of command as an auxiliary. Right. We arrested the provost of the Academy on a screen full of charges. Endangering space infrastructure, negligence of habitability protocols, gross conspiracy to manipulate unauthorized technologies. It goes on. And by old Earth, you notice his jaw clenching unconsciously. He deserves it. Why? What did he do? We were briefed about the experiment, but it was only supposed to cause a minor increase in comms noise. Maybe some odd readings near the jump points. Nothing like this. Obviously something more was going on, something big enough that the provost had to know about it. And the lieutenant's agent whispers in his ear again. If you're not mistaken, there is some shouting in the background. barely picked up by the lieutenant's handheld comms unit. The mob grows restless, the lieutenant says with a joyless smile. He barks some orders to someone. The video feed jostles and flickers with static as they begin to move. We'll have to chat later, Captain. I'll buy you a pint on Colt Station if you can get us out of this. Colt Station. I wonder if we go there, we'll talk with Lieutenant Caliban Sinki. Chat, remember this name. Thank the officer and sign off. Just back. Here is the link you wanted in the game. Oh, thank you so much, Lady Sheila. Thanks to Lazarus as well for trying to post that. Vivid Shadow, thank you very much for the 9 months, my lord. Next one adds mining, but processing volatiles to fuel is a separate mod. Ah, okay. Okay. Now, we need to drop a quick scan. Donk. Just down there. Almost missed by our sensors, but let's head out in that direction. Ouch. I didn't think we were going to be moving fast enough, but apparently we are. Okay. Well, let's go dark just for the sake of it. I don't think there is actually a fleet guarding it. I think that's more like a FTL-style event. We have to interact with it to cause problems, but sure. Domain Era Probe. An example of one of the countless thousands of robot probe ships sent out into the galaxy by the Domain to find new resources to exploit, planets to colonize, and explore the unknown. Some variants are produced by automated motherships. This specimen appears to be inactive, pitted by small impacts. Its hull displays iridescence from fearsome radiation scarring. This probe manufacturer could well date to 1,000 cycles ago. By the way, as you'll notice, this is actually rotating. There is real orbits in this game. Everything is orbiting. Given enough time, things will move well out of position from what they currently are. And you do need to account for that in some systems. Not too often, but... Your fleet approaches a Domain Era probe left from the initial Domain exploration of the sector. Pitted by small impacts, the probe's hull displays iridescence of typical fearsome radiation scarring that the probe's manufactured. Blah, blah, blah. This is all what we just read. Explore. As your fleet moves in closer, several energy signatures are detected coming online inside the probe's hull. We've got 2 Warden defense drones, but they are fiercely broken. Erratic fuel injector. These are the D mods that we're talking about. Erratic fuel injector, glitched sensor array, compromised armor, damaged weapon mounts. This one's probably got something similar. Unreliable subsystems, glitched sensor array, compromised hull, faulty power grid, and erratic fuel injectors. All of these things together make this thing significantly less space-worthy. Some of them are more combat relevant than others. Some of them are more like, you know, just whilst traveling in deep space or using supplies to try and fix things, it would take more supplies or more fuel to get the same job done. But some of them will impact how likely it is that weapons are going to jam, how much flux weapons will build up, how good your shielding is, so on and so forth. Some of them you can safely use in a fight. It's just you're probably paying more for that ship outside of combat. But others are dramatically bad for combat. I would say probably the faulty power grid was one of the nastier ones. Damaged weapon mounts, compromised armor. Glitch sensor array, probably not as big of one, but that might affect weapon ranges, that sort of thing. Okay. Yeah, orbital mechanics can get quite nasty in pulsar systems. Yes. The stars in this game, it's not just one and done, just a different color. They genuinely have different effects. You can get some really cool systems, especially in a game where the age of the star systems is older. Right, we can transfer command for this engagement. So, for example, I could play as the drone tender, but I'm happy with this ship that I've got right now. Right, let's get in. Now, I can unpause it and just allow things to move on. Actually, one thing I will show. I'll showcase it. Right now, I don't actually recall if I've got many skills that are affecting combat. I'm not even sure I can check. We've got all sorts of information there. Zero flux engine boost, so we've got plus 50 to our top speed because we're not generating flux and we have no flux. No enemy presence, so peak performance is steady. This is what I was talking about with, like, if you're not being stressed, because, like, you know, even in a fight, you know, a fight might last a couple of minutes to an hour or so, you know, in game time. If there's no enemy ships nearby, you can probably go down from red alert to a yellow alert, and at that point, the peak performance isn't going to be dropping. Peak active performance remaining time is 240 seconds. Combat readiness is 85%, so we've got improved performance. So little things about the ship are just running better. However, couple of things that I didn't touch on last time is every hull has a speciality. Ours is flare launcher, so if I press F, I can deploy flares that will confuse missiles and so on and so forth. And we've got charges. Those might recover over time, they might not. But you do not need to control your ship if you don't want to. You can 100% do this. Toggle autopilot. There we go. Ship is now... We are now in 4X... Well, not 4X. RTS mode. I can watch the entire thing play out from the map screen, or I can just let the AI do its thing. Why am I letting the AI do anything? Oh my god, AI, you're so dumb. I regret so many things. You literally bumped into an asteroid. Now, maneuvering behind the asteroid was a good move, but the rest of it... Don't bump into each other! Oh my lord. It's fine. I hope. I'm a little bit worried about you, because you're not actually a combat ship. You're taking unnecessary damage there. Okay, well, you managed to take the other one out, which is good. I can manipulate the AI a little bit more with command points. I've got 5 of them. We're gaining more over time. For example, I can tell them to guard each other, to escort, to defend, so on and so forth. Search and destroy orders. I can tell this to be a little bit more... I can tell it to retreat out of battle. A direct retreat, literally just burn out of this combat zone as fast as you can. Don't care about trying to defend yourself, just get away. I can give commands to the enemy ships. So I avoid if there's a particularly high threat target, or I want it to be dealt with in a special way, or I want to save it for last because it's going to be a tough nut to crack and I want to kill the ads first. I can tell them to avoid things. I can set it as a target the selected enemy ship or fighter wing leader. I can tell my ships to eliminate it at all costs, orders the fleet to launch a dedicated attack on the ship. Ships given this assignment will try to attack the target ship regardless of the tactical situation, exposing themselves to greater risk. This is great if there's only one ship left, because realistically, they're still going to defend themselves against that ship. It's just they're not going to care about the other ships around it. If I've told them to eliminate a high threat target, they will do so with no regard to the other opponents that linger in the area. It's escort. They'll ignore them, more or less. And so they can get really messed up from flanking maneuvers. Let's have a look at the other ones. This is what happens when you make decent AI illegal. Yes. Yes, very much so. But there are skills that you can take that allow you to employ decent AI, perhaps illegally. We've got audio fleets to engage the target and any nearby enemy ships without exposing themselves to undue danger. We can do that. I can tell my fighter wing to engage. I can tell you to more or less escort the main ship, which is also fine. Like a light escort, or maybe I can say a heavy escort, and they'd probably try to do it. Either way, this ship is like just trying to get out, but I can tell it to take that assignment and force it. Now, I'm using one command point. Now, this one's an important one. Command frequency open. As I've paused, I can give out... Every time I open the command frequency, that costs a command point. But I can do an unlimited amount of commands whilst the frequency is open. So if you're paused, you can give dozens of tactical orders. But once this window of opportunity is closed, then the frequency has been shut down, and I'm going to spend an extra command point to open it back up again. So there are limits to how much you can interact. This isn't like some omnipresent, faster-than-light communication scenario where I can just give orders as and when I please. These orders need to be curt and to the point, I only have a small amount of time to be able to do them. So with that done, let's watch the fight. It's also... Oh. There we are. I accidentally turned off autopilot there. Probably because I pressed R, which loaded up or downloaded my screens, my shields rather, when I was trying to unhook the camera. Never mind. Is there a way to do that in combat? To free look instead of have the camera attached? Hey, Hickson. No, this isn't the first fight. We're actually on the derelict. We're getting the AI, so it's like the second fight. Autopilot is basically allowing your ZX Spectrum to fly the ship. Wow. ZX Spectrum as well. Good night, Clark. I have fond memories of playing games on an Atari 520 ST. I have no idea. Right. The forces were able to gain complete victory in the last engagement, pick through the wreckage. Finally, some surprise. Happiest of days. As your fleet finishes mopping up the automated defenses, a weak hyperwave ping is detected coming from the probe. It's unclear if this was a random noise from a dying subsystem or some kind of encrypted signal. Your fleet finishes its approach to the domain-era probe without further incident. You receive a preliminary assessment of the potential salvage operation from exploration crews. Resource recovery effectiveness is 90%, which is... that is kind of crazy. This is with half the strength of the crews that we needed. So our overall ability was reduced by half. We could have gotten really good salvage if we'd had 100 people on the crew, but it's fine. And the beta core.